a lot of the contemporary wisdom bearers, you could call the contemporary spiritual teachers, if you want to call them spiritual teachers, that's not really an accurate description of what they are, because the truth is not a spiritual matter. The truth is not a scientific matter. The truth is the truth. The truth is the way it is. It's what's so. There are a lot of contemporary wisdom-bearing teachers who say that meditation is not necessary in order to realize your true nature. And that has to be true if you look at it, because if your true nature is already your true nature, if you already are what you are, why would there need to be anything that you need to change or do to be that? So it's not a question of changing or doing anything to be that. It's a question of relaxing and calming down, right? So you can look and you can hear about what there is to see when you look, so that when you look, you recognize it. That's the teaching. That's the teaching. There are a lot of people who never meditated, never even heard of the teaching, that have a spontaneous experience of the truth. And it just happens to them. A lot of times that happens to people when they're in dire straits, when they're in situations where they're desperate, they're cornered, they're at their wit's end, they're at the end of their rope, They may be ready to commit suicide. That was the case with Eckhart Tolle. He was just about to kill himself. That's a desperate condition, right? And in that desperate condition, he happened to notice a very simple, obvious thing that he never noticed before, right? And that was that he was about to kill himself. And when he was about to kill himself, he was having these thoughts like, I can't stand to be this anymore. I can't stand to live like this anymore. I can't stand to feel like this anymore. And for a brief moment, it occurred to him, wait a minute. Who is the one that can't stand being this way, and who is the one that's being this way? And when he looked at that thought, he realized there's not two of me. There's not two of me. And he had what's called a non-dual experience. He had the experience that he was suffering because he thought there was a voice in his head that he identified with that was constantly talking to him about life and about his body and about his story and about how he feels. And this was driving him crazy, right? And then he realized in his own way, without him even understanding it, but he realized in his own way, wait a minute, I am not that. I am not that. I am the awareness that's aware of that, but that's not that. And when he realized that he had this experience of relief. He had this experience of a weight being lifted off his shoulders. And the relief of that was so elating to him that it put him into this state of ecstasy, put him into this state of what it feels like to no longer carry the burden of believing you're something that you're not, that is under threat all the time. Believing that you're something that you're not, that is going to die. Believing that you're something that you're not, that's in competition with 8 billion people. Believing that you're something that you're not, that has all these strong emotions and these crazy thoughts. So the practice of meditation is the practice of experiencing a state of being that's always there, but hidden by the activity of thinking because people are so preoccupied all the time. Why don't people wake up and realize their natural state, their true nature, so they can be happy? Because they're busy. They're busy. They're preoccupied with this voice in the head thing and this personality thing, right? And this game the world is playing called get more money, get more possessions, get more control, avoid what you feel threatened by, run from it or fight with it. This is the reality of humanity happening. And everybody's very busy with that. They're so busy with that they don't get enough sleep. They're so busy with that they would keep trying harder and harder and harder and being more stressed out and more uptight and more crazy and more neurotic until they're driving the body into the grave, right? Because they're burning up all the energy. The body's in a constant state of tension and contraction, and they're in a constant state of paranoia. You know, I say to my students, especially my meditation students, but I say it to my psychotherapy clients as well, look up the definition of neurosis, please, so you can see what it looks like to be you. Because that's what it is. If you look up the definition of neurosis, you can see a definition of you. And the reason that most people don't consider the definition of neurosis to be a definition of them is because if we're all crazy, none of us are crazy. And we're all neurotic. If we're all neurotic, that's normal, right? So we're not going to call that abnormal. We're going to say that's normal. It's just a little, you know, you're just a little anxious. Take some pills, drink some alcohol, smoke a little pot, watch a good movie, you'll be all right, right? That's the way we talk to ourselves as neurotic human beings, right? But the question is, if that neurotic condition is the pervasive state that humanity's in, and the evidence says it is, by the way, there's suicide is on the rise, pharmaceuticals are on the rise, illegal drugs are on the rise, all the different ways that people distract themselves are on the rise. You know, now now you don't just watch football on Sunday, you can start on Friday night and get all the channels and watch every football game on the planet for the whole weekend, right? More, different, and better, right? That's the name of the game we're playing as humanity, more, different, and better. Can I get more of what I want and less of what I don't, right? Can I get more of what's better and less of what's not good? And I'll depend on the people that say they know to tell me the answers to those questions. They're called the psychologists that make the commercials you watch. They're the ones that figure out how to manipulate your mind, get you to buy more and more shit that isn't going to make any difference. Put more and more shit into your body that will alter the chemistry there and kill you sooner. This is pure insanity. It's really a very enlightening experience to recognize the insanity that's been your life. It's really a relief, and it's really an enlightening experience to recognize the insanity that's been your life, especially when the possibility of freedom from all that is real. And it is. It is. It's not very popular, right? It's not very popular. Meditation isn't very popular. The reason it's very popular is because it's not as convenient as Amazon. That's why it's not popular. What do you mean I gotta sit for 30 minutes every single day? Don't you know how busy I am? I gotta make money. I can't spare 30 minutes. Spare 30 minutes for what? How long is it gonna take? I had a guy come into this class years ago who was a Vietnam vet who was suffering from PTSD, right? And he listened to my rap, and he did the meditation practice, and he got the gist of it, right? And you know what his only question was? How long will this take? This man is suffering every single day of his life, right, from profound mental illness, right? And when he's given the opportunity to consider a possibility that will give him complete relief from that, and not only complete relief from that, to actually experience being happy as a natural state, and his only question is, how long is it going to take? Right? And I told him the answer to that question is, how long does it take to get a black belt in karate? There is no set time it takes, right? It has a lot to do with your intention. It has a lot to do with whether you persevere. It has a lot to do with how serious you are about this business of really wanting to wake up. Because it's not going to be easy, it's going to be challenging, right? But if you're serious and you really mean it and you understand through the teachings that it is a real possibility, then why wouldn't you commit yourself to it? I mean, the alternative is to be miserable, right? The alternative is to be miserable. And then, you know, there are a lot of people that say, oh, I'm not miserable. What do you mean I'm miserable? Follow me around, you'll see that I'm a very happy person. Look at how much money I have. Look how big my house is, you know. Look at how good my pretense is. You can't tell me I'm miserable. Follow me around. Watch how much I smile. Watch how happy I am. Watch how much I've learned to look good. Watch how much I've made a good appearance here in the world, right? That's a sick pretense. Pretending to be happy is the worst form of misery. isn't it? Yeah, because you may fool everybody else, but you know damn well what the truth is. You know what's going on in your mind, and you know that in your mind is this fear of being found out, this fear that people find out how crazy you are, this fear that people find out you don't know what the hell's going on. Everybody's hiding that. That's the big secret, right? That's the big secret. So these teachings and practices give you an opportunity to let the whole mess go. Just let the whole mess go. And you can start to enjoy your life. You can start to be at ease. You can start to experience a natural way of being in the life of a human being. And will the personality disappear? No, it won't disappear. It doesn't have to disappear. The problem wasn't that there was a personality. That's necessary. It's required for you to have a personality, isn't it? You can't get rid of it, right? It's required. If I could snap my fingers and your personality would disappear, right, you'd be a vegetable. You don't want that, right? So personality is necessary, right? And it's not going to disappear, but that's not the problem. The problem isn't that there's a personality, and it's not even the problem that the personality is neurotic, right? The problem is that you think that's what you are. That's the problem. You can have fun being neurotic if you know that's not really what you are, right? That's just the condition you're in as a person that got indoctrinated into an insane world, right? So you can start having fun with your craziness instead of having it be something you carry around like a weight on your shoulders. You can start having fun with your insanity instead of having it be something in your way of being related to other human beings. And you can have fun with your insanity by experiencing it in your mind, right? But not allowing it to contaminate your life, right? So the crazy shit that you think, you stop saying. The crazy shit that you come up with to do that makes sense to you, right? Because you think you're your body and you're separate from the rest of humanity. The crazy things that you come up with to do because you think that's all true. You stop doing those things because now you learn that the truth is different from that. And because the truth is different from that, even though your brain is still in that trance, even though your brain is still in that condition, right? You can watch it instead of be in there with it. You can watch it instead of being there with it. You can know that that world still plays in your brain instead of having that world be the world you're living in. Most people are living in a thought manifest world. Most people don't even know what it's like to be present. Most people don't even know what it's like to be awake in the world as the world is, because they're so adapted to and so used to living in a thought world. You wake up in the morning, right? See, when you wake up in the morning, what wakes up? Your thinking wakes up, doesn't it? Yeah, first thing, you wake up in the morning, the first thing, so you're here, what's here? You're here, what's here? The voice in your head is saying, okay, I dread this day. Let's see what else. What will I eat? I want to eat what I like. Maybe not good for my body, but what the hell? And then I'll go to work and make some more money so I can buy some more shit. That's what's living your life. That's what's living your life. And then when you're trying to go to sleep at night, the voice in your head's not done. It wants to continue to run the 24/7. It wants to continue to run 24/7. Now you're tired and you want to get a rest. This is a human life. So most of us are suffering from a lack of sleep, right? Most of us are suffering from physical tension and anxiety that we need to medicate ourselves to try and get out of, and then that becomes an addiction. It's a mess. It's a mess. But it's not ultimately necessary. It is possible to be in the middle of this insane world and have a good time, right? Because you can wake up and realize that, what most human beings are experiencing and the games they're playing, and the illusions that they're stuck in, and the delusions that they're stuck in, and the patterns of behavior that they're stuck in, are not reality. It's a state of mind. It's a mental condition. It's a mental condition. The most truest and realistic way to describe human beings is to say they're crazy. That's the most realistic way to describe human beings. And why would you conclude that? You would conclude that by looking at the evidence. Look at the evidence. We're destroying the planet, right? We're destroying the planet. We can't get along with one another. You know, as long as we've been on this planet, we still are no better at getting along with one another, right? We're killing ourselves in more and more higher numbers, right? We're destroying our bodies in more and more higher numbers, putting all kinds of toxins into our bodies, right? We're doing everything that we can to try and experience some relief. Isn't it true? Human beings are doing everything they can to try and experience some relief. So if you look at what the evidence says human beings are crazy. So if you start from the truth, if you start from a real place, see, that's the thing. You can't successfully ever change unless you start from a real place. Can you see that? If you're not starting from a real place, you're starting from some idea you have about where you are, but it's not real. You can't go from an unreal place to a real place. You have to start from a real place to get to another real place. So the place you have to start to get to the possibility of being happy, calm, experiencing well-being at home in your life, able to have some fun here. In order to get to that place, you have to start from a real place. And the real place is that you're not very happy, you're stuck in this physical body, your relationships don't really work, you're afraid of death, you're trying as hard as you can to get this shit to work. It doesn't seem to be changing, it doesn't seem to be working. Every time it looks like it's working, it goes to hell again, right? That's what's happening. So that's the only real place to start. And if you start there and you're willing to be brutally honest about what's going on, now you have a real place and you can begin to practice meditation, learn about these teachings. And as you practice and learn about these teachings and spend more time experiencing things as they actually are, gradually you will come out of it. Gradually you will wake up. Gradually you will come out of it. And that's why I say, meditation, the formal practice of meditation, is only the beginning. You're practicing getting better at practicing meditation in formal meditation. When you get good enough at formal meditation that you know what you're doing, when you get good enough at formal meditation, when you are actually clear that you are experiencing, whether it's only momentarily or not, but you're clear that you're actually experiencing what it's like to be you. As you sit in a relaxed state in formal meditation, if you're doing it correctly and if you persist over time and get through the beginning stages of it, you will experience a subtle shift that occurs once you get relaxed and calm enough. And this subtle shift that occurs is a shift from what you believed you were and thought you were to the experience of what you are naturally and what you actually are. It's a subtle shift, but you can feel it, and the way it feels is it feels like something lifted, something's lighter, something's easier, something feels normal, something feels natural. Just in one moment, if you make that shift, in one moment, there's an experience of well-being, just by itself, naturally. Nothing's changed because it's always been there, but now you're allowing yourself to notice it. That's all. And if you keep practicing this over and over again, the way you practice being crazy, right? You keep practicing this over and over again, right? The effect of it will start to take hold. Your brain will start to reorganize itself in relationship to the truth. And then you can get to a point where you can begin to move the practice into your everyday existence and start to practice brief moments of resting as awareness as often as possible. That's the real practice. Because when you do that practice, now you're bringing this experience of well-being, this experience of your true nature into your moment-to-moment everyday life. And you will then discover that you can be in this experience of well-being at all times. You can be in this experience of resting as awareness no matter what's going on. And as that happens, you begin to experience the fulfillment of the possibility that even if your mind is being crazy, you can experience being at peace and resting as awareness at the very same time. And when that happens, you're home safe. You're home safe. Because when that happens, you now have a view of the craziness instead of being crazy. And if you have a view of the craziness instead of being crazy, you don't have to follow it anymore. You don't have to speak like you're nuts and you don't have to act like you're nuts. You can just watch it until it winds down and disappears. And in the meantime, you're practicing being awake, being aware, being relaxed, and enjoying the possibility of being alive. And if you experience being alive and you're enjoying the possibility of being alive, when the end of life comes, because it is a temporary situation, and you're not denying that, you're not hiding from it anymore, you're accepting it as part of this situation. Now, day can't be day without night, right? That's pretty obvious. Day can't be day without night. Life can't be life without death. If you're avoiding death and denying death, you don't have a life. Your life is a survival operation, isn't it? If you're scared to death of death and you're trying to avoid it and you're trying to keep it out of your awareness, right? Then you're trying to survive all the time, right? To keep yourself from dying. You're trying to survive all the time. That's not life. That's not living. You can't enjoy your life if you're in survival all the time. So what these practices and teachings allow you to do is to relax and accept the fact that there's nothing wrong with dying. If it wasn't for dying, there wouldn't be any living. There's nothing wrong with dying. And if you live your life and you're here for your life and you enjoy your life, when the body gets old and needs to go, you just let go. It's not a problem. Instead of the terror and the tyranny that people go through when it comes time to die. It's terrible, isn't it? You know, if you look at animals, they don't suffer that. You know, when an animal dies, an animal doesn't know an animal doesn't think it doesn't want to die. An animal doesn't think that is something that it should hide from and avoid. When it happens, the animal just lies down and lets it happen. It doesn't have an ego. It doesn't have a voice in its head saying, "Oh shit." It takes a human being to have a voice in your head that's complaining and saying, "Oh shit," about everything. Animals are relieved of that. They don't have to go through that. But on the other hand, they don't have the ability to experience the fulfillment of a human life that we do, because the thinking that's driving us crazy could end up being our friend. The mind is not nefarious. The mind is not trying to ruin your life, right? It just got conditioned to behave in a way that's not consistent with reality, that's all. So as you wake up and you start to retrain the mind to do what it can do, right? The mind's very powerful. You can retrain the mind to be your friend. You can retrain the mind to be useful. You can retrain the mind to understand that it can shut the hell up. It doesn't have to talk all the time. And you can use it when it's needed. But when it's not needed, you don't need it. It doesn't have to be neurotic. So, any questions? I've just covered all of the contemporary spiritual teachings. We're very fortunate. We're very fortunate because thousands of years ago, you had to go to a monastery to hear this. Thousands of years ago, you had to go to a monastery to hear this, and you had to be willing to live there for years to come out of the condition you were in. And that wasn't available to the general population. The people that lived in monasteries said, you know, no, the average lay person, right, the average person with a family and, you know, all that stuff, can't do this. They can't do this. You have to go to a monastery. Now, this is available to everybody. You know, the truth is on the internet. The truth is on the internet, and the availability to practice meditation doesn't require going into a monastery anymore. Just do it consistently, learn how to do it, understand how it works, and then practice it like it's the most important thing in your life, which it is. And then you'll come out of the bad dream that most people are having. Because when you get a taste of the truth, you know that this is real. This is the real deal.